Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's lights out and away we go.
Alberto's got away beautifully at the start of the great race.
Who's that got off?
It's Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Welcome to Negative Camber, the Motorsport show, brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside.
The ultimate pit stop.
The safety car is coming in.
Fueling your passion for motorsport.
With an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis, and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race.
I'm Jamie Lemura, motorsport enthusiast, historian, and media presenter.
And I'm Lee Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprint Master Karts race driver, and Formula One alumni.
Welcome back to Negative Camper, the Motorsport show. Not too much around the world, is there?
A little bit.
All right, fire away.
Lots of information about only a few categories this week, but it's been pretty quiet with a lot of championships having wrapped up, and one of those to recently wrap up was the NASCAR Cup Series. The final race in the NASCAR Cup Series was run and won, and while it was Ross Chastain who took the final checkered flag of the year, Ryan Blaney came away with the 2023 championship. Chastain played the role of spoiler on Sunday, battling hard and aggravating Blaney to the point where contact was made in the battle up front. After a brief three-wide battle on a late race restart, he then set sail, becoming the first driver not part of the championship four to win the finale since the current format's introduction in 2014. Behind him, though, the battle raged for the championship. Blaney ran down Kyle Larson, and the two drivers had several close moments while fighting for control of the championship lead. Blaney eventually cleared Larson and drove off, earning his first ever NASCAR Cup Series championship. It's back-to-back Cup titles for Team Penske and a Ford sweep of all three national titles for 2023. Stuart Haas Racing's Cole Custer, as we touched last week, earned the Xfinity crown on Saturday, and ThorSport Racing's Ben Rhodes claimed the truck crown on the Friday. World Endurance Championship has also wrapped up with Toyota trio Brendan Hartley, Sebastian Buemi and Ryo Hirakawa claiming the 2023 WEC Championship following a dominant win in the Bahrain season final. Hartley, Buemi and Hirakawa were never threatened in the 8-hour bonus points title decider. The crew of the number 8 Toyota leading every race outside of the pit stop cycles to successfully defend their 2022 crown. The outcome of the contest was effectively decided at the start when Cadillac's El Bernber locked up going into turn 1 after starting from third, turning around the number 7 Toyota that was trying to consolidate second place behind the pole-sitting car. The last ever LMP2 title in WEC went to WRT after Louis Delatraz, Robert Kubica and Rui Andrade charged their way from 10th to score their third victory of the season in the number 41 Orica. It was a 1-2 finish for the Belgian outfit with Robin Frins, Ferdinand Habsburg and Sean Galeo finishing 9 seconds down in the sister number 31 car. The number 41 crew arrived in Bahrain with a 33-point lead over the Le Mans 24-hour winning Inter Europol team with 39 points available across qualifying and the race, but Inter Europol never featured at the sharp end of the field with a brief stoppage in the fourth hour with Albert Costa ending any chances of a shock swing in the title fight. And in GTE news, the all-female Iron Dames team claimed its maiden victory in the farewell WEC race for GTE cars, with Sarah Bovey, Michelle Gadding and Rachel Frey taking top honours in the number 85 Porsche 911 RSR. Having finished second twice in 2022 while driving a Ferrari, Bovey, Gatting and Frey went one better in the WEC final as they beat home their number 777 D-Station Aston Martin by 5 seconds after starting from pole position. And wrapping up around the world with Moto2 and Moto3, Tech 3 MotoGP-bound Pedro Acosta has been crowned champion of the 2023 Moto2 World Championship after clinching his second Grand Prix title at Malaysian Grand Prix. Acosta rode a steady race to finish second and move 77 points clear of Arbolino, who was 10th after a collision early on to become a Moto2 champion. After a frantic 15-lap Malaysian GP on Sunday morning, the Moto3 title class is finally poised heading into the final 2 rounds of the season. A maiden win for Intact GP's Colin Vaya ahead of his teammate Ayumi Sasaki has handed Leopard Honda's Jaume Masia a 13-point lead in the standings. Masia completed the podium with Ivan Ortola and David Munoz rounding out the top 5. Crashes for David Alonso and Daniel Holgado have put them 41 points adrift of the championship battle at this current stage.
Well done, my friend. Festival State Cup was held at Mount Gambier recently, round 5. Neither of us raced. You didn't have to because you pretty much had the title sewn up anyway, given the season that you had. Do we have results from Festival State Cup at all, or do I need to flow through those very quickly with Speed Hive?
I mean, I didn't take them down at all, but...
Yeah, no, neither did I, actually. I've got to go on to Speed Hive on that. While I'm bringing that up, I don't know whether you've been seeing the news during the week, obviously, with the Bathurst International and the TCR series. They've finally listened to reason. They've removed themselves from their stand contract, and they're now going back to Channel 7 free to air, which I think is amazing in terms of the fact that it needed to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. We just get some more eyes on the show and hopefully bring some more fans in front of the gates as well.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things where they've clearly seen such a dip in performance in performance, like as spectators going through the gate, that when you're getting 2/5 of bugger all in the stands, and the teams are then starting to question, sponsors are starting to question, what are they looking for, or what are they getting out of their bang for buck. The series was actually on an upwards trajectory whilst it was on commercial network. Why we just take it away?
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it's great considering the support card that they've got with pretty much, although there's going to be some changes, I believe, with what do you call it? The
ARG.
With ARG and Touring Car Masters going back onto the V8 Supercar bill for next year, and all the changes that are happening on the GT side of it. So it'll look a little bit different. But hey, you know what? It's with how sparse the V8 Supercar calendar is for next year with the 12 events, and TCR's got 7 events. It's almost like the old Touring Car Championship of old when there was like 8 to 10 rounds per season anyway.
Yeah,
so
100%. I've got the results here from Festival State Cup in Mount Gambier.
Did better than me.
Tag 125 light. We had Bronson Bolt winning from Jacob Chandler and Josh Rust in second. Tag restricted light. It was Shane Moreland taking the win for the locals, followed by Ben Press and then Ben Kilsby returning to take 4th position. 4SS Light and 4SS Medium. In 4SS Medium, Trevor King got the win from Nicholas Dunn and Luke Dart, while in 4SS Light it was Wes Bowden, Luca Polombaro and Jackson King. In Tag 125 Masters, Scott Evans took home another win with Andrew Chapman in second and the Your Local Driving School John Ellis in 3rd place. Cadet 12, we had Dominic McCurry in first, Scarlett Pittham, who is moving up to juniors in the new year, in second, and Curtis Polkinghorn in third. KA3 Junior Light and Junior Heavy. In KA3 Junior Light, we had Noah Enright in first, just Cristiano Creaser in second, and Giuseppe Imbrogno in third. Stunning drive from Noah, who ended the first lap back in about 7th or 8th spot and worked his way through to the lead within the first sort of 10 laps. So stunning fight back from him.
It's clean passes, wasn't it?
Very clean passes, yes.
And that kart was a jet in a straight line too.
Absolutely.
Especially mid-range onwards.
Got some horsepower. In KA3 Junior Heavy was Riley Briggs taking the win there. Tag restricted medium, Christopher Prestige took the win from Josh Fielding and Jackson Callow. Cadet 9, we had Bo Chambers winning from Lawson Effingham in second and Logan Reethus in third. 4SS Heavy, which was some stunning battles all through the day, and a very, very close finish for the top 3 was Daniel Bowden taking the win from James Place and Peter Leonard. And KA3 Senior Light, again, some very close battles throughout the weekend with Leo Ianella taking home the win from Troy Moreland and Brocklyn Parker in 3rd place.
Well done, my friend. And that, so have you got your acceptance speech ready for your trophy when you get your festival? Because it doesn't look like, I don't think are we even going to be doing the SA Awards this year?
Don't think so. We haven't been contacted about it.
No, I think
might be good to be there for some dinner and not have to worry about hosting for a change. So
I'll be there in spirit, mate.
I haven't actually considered going yet. It's one of the things that I haven't bought a ticket to just yet or worried about. But I should definitely be there to represent the brand and in both brands, and I've got to get my Sprintmaster top and cut it in half and sew it together with a half of a Soddy top maybe as well.
God, don't do that. I can imagine you with a nice big Tom Ford like bow tie with a white shirt, maybe a velour sports jacket or something like that.
No.
You know, some slacks look real sharp.
Might go in some jeans and a suit jacket.
Actually, you might mix them with the rest of the crowd. They'd probably do the same thing.
Maybe wear my race suit.
I reckon Mr. Cocker's got the gig for Vital Karting this year, which is good. Makes sense. He's been the voice of karting. We can have a little bit of a break. Probably some fresh voices for next year, for this year, which would be nice. But do take photos of when you get your trophy and stuff like that. Maybe a selfie for the gram.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
'Cause there's nothing I love more than a selfie.
Oh, yeah, photogenic that you are. You know, we pulled it off with your tight pants and all that sort of skin tight jeans. Actually, that's what you should wear to the pit lane next week for Todd.
The pit lane, you reckon?
Yeah, I reckon do that.
Look,
It'll bring some memories.
Don't think. Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners.
Ready to turn your karting dreams into reality? Look no further than ProKart's Race Centre. Imagine hitting the track in the kart of your dreams, a ride that matches your budget and aspirations perfectly. With our pre-loved kart sourcing service, we make it happen. Our experienced team isn't just about mechanics, they're dream builders. We meticulously hand-pick each kart, ensuring reliability, performance, and sheer exhilaration. Whether you're a seasoned racer looking for an upgrade or a newcomer stepping into the world of karting, we're your pit crew, your partners in racing dreams. Get ready to feel the wind in your hair, the thrill in your heart, and the victory at your fingertips with ProKart's Race Centre, where dreams truly come to life. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. ProKart's Race Centre, fueling your dreams, igniting your potential.
Formula One, Brazil Grand Prix. It was a little bit to talk about, but not as much as Vegas. So we'll skim through Brazil. Top 10 results. Verstappen, followed by Norris, Alonso, Perez, Stroll, Sainz, Gasly, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Ocon. Talking points. Well, okay. So we will start with Max. Fourth sprint win for Verstappen ahead of Norris in McLaren. And it was actually Max's 17th win of the year, which is phenomenal in itself. You know, it's funny. Back in the, let's say, the early days, we'll go the 80s, when they had a 16-race calendar, he could have potentially won every race in that season if you go by those numbers, which is insane when you think about it.
They had a 16-race season. He's won more than one race of the season. Yeah.
One of the extra qualifying session as well. But what that did was, prior to Vegas, put him on a winning percentage of 85%, which doesn't include, obviously those races at the time, like I touched on before. If he have failed to win Vegas and Abu Dhabi...
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yes, for those that didn't watch the race. It still would put him on a 77% winning average, which would have been 2% higher than Alberto Ascari, which dated all the way back to 1952-53, when they were racing the Formula 2 era in Ferrari. So whichever way you look at it, as a season of seasons, despite what the naysayers may say about car and all that sort of stuff as well, his driving today proved that point. But anyway, Alonso, though, obviously was standout with that battle with Perez as well.
Yeah, he rolled back the clock a few years. And look, for how much stick we've given Perez over the course of this year, it was good to see him fighting back a little bit at the front. But I think just lacked a little bit of racecraft there at the end with Alonso, like to have left the door open pretty easily for that final lap and fall into Fernando's lap like that. I think better needed to be done. But and then again, spoiler alert, we've seen another bit of a failing from him on the Vegas streets as well. So yeah, I think while he's got a contract due again, his contract is in place for next year, I think it's highly unlikely that he's not going to last it out.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, Alonso as well, he had a lot of unconventional driving lines too, I noticed, and what was noted as well. So, and it was defensive masterclass. Like, it was almost up there with his efforts with Lewis back in 21.
Yeah,
when Ocon.
At Hungary.
Yeah, yeah. So he was, he'd be deploying his electrical boost turns 1 and 4. He'd take different lines at turns 10 and 12. And so by going wider, it wouldn't allow Perez to get close to at turn 12, and so it would just mean that he'd get a better exit, and that would be enough to keep Perez at bay.
Yeah, well, just sort of he got a better drive off the corner because of the wide line that he was taking. So by the time the DRS and Perez's battery kicked in over the top of Alonso's, he was too far behind to make the move properly.
And so I nearly gave myself a concussion when I saw the warm-up lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and there's a Ferrari in the wall. I think I just about knocked my head off and knocked myself unconscious. But basically, it was presumed that it was electrics, where Charles initially thought it was a hydraulic problem, which cut the power steering in the engine. But then Fred Vasseur had come out later and actually revealed that the system actually switched itself off. And switched off the hydraulics and the engine. So the result of that was that any electronic command from the system then pretty much was non-compliant. So, and then of course, things have started to look up for Charles, because since Ferrari have actually made a modification to their floor at Suzuka, it's actually brought the SF23 back to more of an oversteering type car, which is so more front end dominant, which is what Leclerc prefers, whereas Carlos is more of understeer. So, but of course, further reliability woe, another sorry tale for Ferrari, and then obviously you've got Carlos, which was kind of top 5, top 6, and that was about it. So, Mercedes struggling again. If you were a betting man, you wouldn't be able to predict Mercedes right now. You wouldn't know what you'd get.
No, 100%. They had a run of decent races, and it's all fallen apart again from Brazil onwards. So, they were Toto saying they ran the car too high, and but that's not what's causing all of the issues. There's a fundamental thing wrong with the car mechanically, and it's they can't seem to put their finger on it, which this late into the season is not what you want to hear. If you're a Mercedes fan, you would think that the 24 car would be well and truly on its way to being, pretty well finalised, and here they are saying they can't put the finger on what's wrong with this year's car. So unless they've got some fundamental changes to the whole way that the car works in the works, but it's too late to bring them in for this year, then I would want to not have my Mercedes hat on for a little while.
Get the piece of paper in the drawing room, scrap it, throw it in the bin.
Yeah.
Dump this car in the yard, scrap it. It's not even worthy in the museum at the moment, why they're talking about it. So they've only got themselves to blame.
Open the checkbook and try and pay Newey whatever he wants to come over and draw a car up for you.
How would you disguise it under the salary cap, though? Actually, ask Red Bull that question. They'll give you the answers.
That's the joys of having a road car division. That's where he's employed.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, exactly. Under Aston Martin still, the Valkyrie?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Like, if he's not he can be there in spirit, he doesn't have to be on the books.
Was he actually on the pit wall for Vegas? I don't think I saw him.
I don't remember paying that much attention to the pit wall for him, but no, I don't remember hearing his name at all.
No, barely mentioned. Pirelli are actually looking to produce a low deg tyre for 2025.
Oh, just what we need.
Yeah. So apparently this year's cars have actually been forcing the tyres to overheat when they've been sitting right behind one another. Some thermal. Do what Las Vegas did and just,
run their races at 3 a.m.
Yeah, exactly right. At 8-9 degrees.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. Lower deg.
We need tyres with more deg, not lower deg. Need more pit stops. We need less babying the tyres around. This whole driving around 7 seconds off of the qualifying time is what's wrong with Formula One at the moment. Like, if they're all going to go hammer and tongs, no one should be able to drive 7 seconds around underneath the qualifying time.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, same sort of issue they had with supercars this year as well. It's the tyres not matching what the cars capable of doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you've got that mismatch, and it just throws everything off kilter.
Yep.
So that was Brazil. That was probably about the only highlight for me was the final lap of Alonso and Perez. So it made viewing the race very easy for 70 odd laps or whatever it was. Just skip through it with Foxtel. But then we come to Vegas, and wow. Okay, so it's. I suppose let's preface Vegas before we go through the highlights and stuff. How long have we got until we go for break? 5 minutes? All right.
Yeah.
So let's preface Vegas. So when Formula One has had a history with Vegas in the early 80s, and it was in the old Caesars Palace car park. Now, I've never been to Las Vegas myself, but, city that never sleeps and all that sort of stuff. So when F1 have come back, and Liberty Media have talked about F1 being in Vegas pretty much since they took over a few years ago. And all of a sudden, you've seen the sport start to grow. Now, the whole point of Liberty Media taking over Formula One is that they had to rescue it, they had to make it financially viable, and they had to make the sport grow because everyone in the pit lane felt that it could be the biggest show on earth. Now, Netflix's Drive to Survive has driven that, but that's been given the tick by Liberty Media. And what people need to understand, and the reason why I'm saying this is because everyone's starting to go anti-Vegas, anti-F1. The whole point of having a media company run Formula One is because they were kings of the digital age, right? They had to make F1 relevant in a current multimedia type environment. So you're going to see the Instagram stuff. You're going to see all the drivers doing the goofy, shizen. You're going to see all these gimmicks and bits and pieces happening because that's what's appealing to a brand new audience. And it's your TikTokers and, girls the kids of, Shay's kids, your kids, that age. My kids are starting to sort of talk about it, all that sort of stuff now. All of a sudden it's moved to a different audience, but you had to crack America. It is the biggest global sporting market anywhere in the world. And if you were able to crack America, then the sport's off the charts. Vegas was one of those because of its nature. It's Vegas, right? So you had, obviously, Texas. That started the ball rolling. We've then shifted over to Miami, and we know from your experience how much work that was in. And I think the corniness of what the podium presentation was last year, and then obviously you had DJ Khaled this year doing all the, that kind of planted seeds in the vitriol. And then, of course, you've had Vegas and it's under lights and it's at a different time zone and all this sort of stuff. And social media has gone to town on the event before it's even kicked off, which I think is really foolish, personally. I get the whole anti-American sentiment, but at the same time, the kings of the sporting globe, You've seen it up close yourself, mate. So, I mean, you've got contacts within obviously the American side of it. What was the take and the feel that you got prior to the event?
That it was a bit of a shambles. And to your point with the negativity of it, I think the negativity comes from the disruption. We're not talking about setting aside a small little street or the corner of the East Parklands for a Formula One race. We're talking shutting down the main tourist attraction of a state, of a city, taking away the ability for, I guess, there's merit for the punters as well to know that the race was going to be on, but all those people that were in Vegas that weren't there for the race, they did not get the experience of Vegas in the way that it should have been experienced, because half of Vegas was shut down and everything was blocked off and you couldn't see the Bellagio fountain because it was behind the curtain of Formula One and all this sort of stuff. So the race, the build itself was a bit of a shambles. They missed their homologation inspection on Wednesday. Then we obviously saw the drain cover, the water valve cover situation on our Friday, their Thursday. It was an absolute shambles with they missed track openings for traffic. So, when they were supposed to reopen the track after it was being built every night, they were missing deadlines for that. So you can understand some of the negativity that's come out of it from a social media perspective. And then, then we get the treatment of the fans on Thursday night with them being kicked out of the grandstands because the the security workers were already reaching, and the bus drivers that were ferrying the spectators around were reaching the end of their maximum allowed working time limit. So where we ended up having a free practice session with no fans in the grandstand, and these people that have paid thousands and thousands of dollars of money for tickets are getting offered a $200 F1 store merchandise voucher. Maybe I'm not the target demographic, but if I'd spent that much money to go to the Formula One, saw 8 minutes of practice, and you offered me a $200 gift certificate to a Formula One store, I'd probably burn the certificate.
Yeah. Well, there's so many layers that we need to uncover. So I guess let's go back a couple of steps, because you raised a comment when I spoke to you during the week about the fact that Vegas didn't rely or didn't reach out to the people that ran the Miami event, which I found really surprising, because I kind of thought, well, you're in the same country, you're about however many kilometres apart. Why would they not tap into that knowledge? I don't get it. You know? Like, I mean, because Miami was a big project. You know, we know firsthand. You know, I just don't understand. And then, so how could they not even think about the manhole cover? I mean, I understand the engineering philosophy behind it, but I mean, how could that not? Was that because of the fact that they missed the deadline for the inspections and all that sort of stuff?
Well, when there's 1,000,001 things going on, it's easy to overlook one job. But when you're so ingrained, and I get like that was my job when I went over to Miami, was everyone was so ingrained in what was happening at such a base ground level that there was no one there to overlook the project on a whole and go, have we thought about this thing that may not be an issue, but what if it is an issue? And that's look, I don't know why they didn't tap into the knowledge. I guess I put my hand up many times to help them out and let them, if they're in strife or whatever, give me a call and I'll be over there, no worries. But I guess there was a factor, a sense of pride that they wanted to maintain and try and get it all done themselves. And like, look, in all said and done, they've pulled off a pretty sweet race, like one of the best races of the year once the track got going. But it was a bumpy start. Yeah,
I think. Firstly, manhole covers have worked themselves loose before. There's been precedent for that. But I don't care. I mean, I don't know whether you'd seen the press conference that Toto and the team principals had between the sessions, and how defensive and how... at one point, Toto got quite fired up. I thought I was actually, when I saw the interview, I was about to send you a message and say, if Shay wants to be aroused, get to see fiery Toto and get her on hand there. But in all seriousness, though, you can't help but think the sport did give itself a black eye, especially with how they treated the fans. Because surely something like that, I don't think they factored that it was going to take 4 or 5 hours to rectify and put a solution to the problem. But why treat the fans like that regardless?
How can you not think that that's going to take 4 or 5 hours to fix? Like, it's not just something that you put a Band-Aid on and walk away. That's when 3 cars have been damaged, that's a long night. Like that's going to be a big task. We had the same thing. The asphalt that was laid was not amazing when we did Miami, and we were repaving corners at nighttime. But we got through, and the fans got what they paid for. I mean, like these guys had to cancel Pirelli hot laps. They were cancelling truck tours and stuff to make sure that things were getting done. And people had paid big money for those sorts of things as well. So even from a corporate perspective, it's even worse than if you were just a fan in the grandstand being kicked out. But to maybe it was a bit of an oversight. Maybe they could have done something with the amount of time that they had. And ran a practice 2, 3 and qualifying on the Friday. To get through it, but look,
but to be offered a $200 voucher, I mean, that $200 voucher could barely buy you a Ferrari hoodie.
Yeah, it's not going to buy much.
Yeah, if that's the best that F1 could come up with, that's nothing short of disgraceful. Really, really is. Especially when was it $3,000 or whatever it was for a ticket in the cheap seats?
Yeah, and even then, like, they cut off most of the view from, like, you see them so many videos of people having to get on an escalator to go up to one little platform to be told to turn around just so they could get a glimpse of the track. Like, what is that?
Yeah. The other thing I heard too, listening to a couple of other podcasts, is that they had actually blocked off certain access points to the track. So fans were actually kept in particular zones, and then you couldn't actually access the certain zones around the track. So let's say GA, if you go to GA past, say, Albert Park, you can pretty much walk anywhere. I'm assuming that would have been the same at Miami. But up to a point.
Yeah, up to a point.
Yeah, so like gold is exclusive gold and all that sort of stuff. Here, you're almost in that section, and that's it, you know.
It's much harder with a bona fide street track like that, to give the fans that full free reign, because a lot of those internal city streets would have also been being used as the thoroughfare for the marshals and for the delivery of like marshal food or accommodations for marshals, that sort of stuff, and return. Basically, anything inside of the pit side of the track was a route to get to and from the track, corners of the track. So it can get hard when running a bona fide street track like that to allow free movement of the fans. I did see that they did have a lot of dedicated fan zones so that no one was missing out on too much of the entertainment. But yeah, if you wanted to be able to go and if you had a grandstand ticket in turn 14 and you wanted to be able to go and watch in turn 4, then there was pretty much no hope of being able to get over there.
Look, I haven't been to Miami, but from what you've said, it sounds pretty cool. I have been to Singapore though, and I still think they do it best. Now that is a bit hard for me to say because I haven't been to Miami, for example. But from my knowledge, if I compare it to Albert Park, Singapore is miles better than that. But they do have challenges there too because of the way the circuit's laid out, that there are certain points that you just can't access. But for the most part, though, I think really the Australian Grand Prix in Adelaide was really what started the whole show thing with the after-race concerts and the big-name acts and stuff like that. Melbourne haven't done that, but then Singapore took it to another level, and you're getting like top echelon music acts and stuff like that too.
Same with Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, So, when you hear drivers like Max whinge and moan and complain about Vegas, saying, "Oh, it's not about the it's not about what happens off the track. They need to make it more about on the track." And it's like, you egotist, because you want them pandering after your success. The whole show was the experience, like on the track, off the track. Like I get all that, but
it's no good having Robbie Williams playing your after-race concert if Max Verstappen's winning by 35 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be... You've got to have both parts of the experience talking in unison.
Agreed.
You can't have a poor race product, which is, let's be fair, what it is at the moment, and then have an exceptional fan experience, because everyone wants to go to watch the race. At the end of the day, that's what we're all there for. We're fans of Formula One. So the on-track product needs to be the priority before anyone worries about who's playing at the after race concert or what DJ's on stand 54 of the fan zones at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon.
I bet he wouldn't be saying that about Zandvoort though.
I don't know. I don't think he likes racing there, but I don't think he thinks the product of Formula One is great there. It's not a very nice track to race on, but
terrible track to race on. But
and again, like you'll think of Vegas, like the driver fatigue, right? Practicing at Tooth, like where was the risk assessment on that one? Like driving at 2, starting a practice session at 2:30 in the morning or whatever, 1:30 in the morning, and not going to finish until 3 a.m. Like wow, think of the drivers getting back to the truck at 4 in the morning to do a debrief session, and that finishes at 5:30 and head back to head back to their room for some sleep, and the sun's already coming up.
Well, for that, they do very similar times. They actually the same sort of operating window as Singapore, where the drivers actually don't change their clocks. They're still in European mode. They would have done the same thing in America there. So, but it's the jet lag and the travel. Like you've gone from Brazil to boom, one after the other, bang, bang, bang. When you see drivers taking photos of even Lewis like asleep in the in the driver's briefing room and stuff like that. He's just absolutely smashed. They're all feeling it. It's not pretty, on that front as well. Yeah. So, I think the FIA have got to give themselves a real swift uppercut, because the handling of Carlos Sainz's penalty is nothing short of an absolute disgrace. And I cannot look, and I'm going to be cynical on this one here. If they can manipulate the result of a race for a championship final and just about throw the book out the door and there was no questions asked, then they can create a way to have a force majeure when all the teams in the pit lane would be able to agree and say, don't penalise Ferrari because it's got nothing to do with them at all. See, I can't get my head around that.
But see, this is where you haven't got obviously all your facts in line, because they tried to implement the force majeure because there's no standing in the sporting regulations for the penalties to be overturned. All the teams wanted harsher penalties for all these uses of power units and all the rest of it. So they put it in the sporting regs, and the teams have to approve the sporting regs, and so that's been approved, and that's the sporting regulations they've all been running under. The FIA understood that it was not Ferrari's fault that happened, and that Carlos was going to have to take this power unit or all the bits that he needed and get this penalty. So they actually went against their own sporting regulations, issued a bulletin that said, we think the penalty is unfair. We need all teams to sign this document, and if all teams sign this document, then we will reverse the penalty on car 55. Every team but one signed that document to say that they were happy with overturning the penalty on Carlos Sainz.
Was that the three-pointed star that denied the...
Negative.
No. Who was it?
It was McLaren. McLaren? Yep, McLaren denied the overturning of the penalty because they are, hearsay has it that it's because they are closest to Ferrari in the championship. They saw it as a little bit of a benefit to them, so they refused to sign. So 9 out of 10 teams were in favour of giving Carlos his grid position back and letting him line up on the front row, which he rightly deserved to do, and McLaren were against it. So, I think your over-criticism of the FIA there is a little bit unwarranted. They tried to do the best that they could to overturn the situation, and the teams have made their own bed, including Ferrari. They've made their own bed with how they wanted the rules interpreted and how they wanted them policed. And so they had to sleep in it.
I still can't believe, and everything you say is valid, I still can't believe that a sporting organisation, teams, FIA, the whole lot, still couldn't have that clause in their rulebook. How could you not think of something like that?
Well, I mean, it just opens a can of worms. It's like, okay, then I've ridden over a curb. Now I'm Adrian Newey or Jonathan Wheatley, sporting director of Red Bull. Max has driven over a curb and it's broken the front wing, or it's punched the gearbox out. Well, do I get to then go and measure the curb and make sure it's actually how it's supposed to be built? It's built exactly how it's homologated, or can I then have my penalty overturned? I'm same people, but Carlos Sainz has rear-ended me from 4 car lengths back because he's lost his marbles. It's caused me to get a new gearbox. Do I get to go and have force majeure because it was Carlos Sainz's bonehead move that crashed into me that caused me to get it? It opens up a can of worms if you just let them. And that's why, I guess, why all the teams wanted it so cut and dry. Like, they all wanted it to be so there was no grey areas and it was a hard and fast rule. So, look, I agree. It's harsh, but at the end of the day, if the shoe was on the other foot, Ferrari would have done the same thing.
I think any team really would have done the same thing if the circumstances were there. How about we go off to a break quickly, and we'll do a quick highlights package of the race and then do more talking points of Vegas.
A huge thank you goes out to our podium partner, Procast Race Centre, and our incredible sponsors. Your partnership allows us to continue bringing you this show and dive deeper into the world of motorsports. If your business adds value to the motorsport community, get in touch with us to become a Negative Camber partner.
Time to discover more than just a track. It's time to find your racing family at Prokarts Race Centre. We're more than a racing facility. We're a community of enthusiasts bound by our shared love for motorsport. What sets us apart? Our commitment to inclusivity. We're breaking barriers, welcoming rookies and pros alike to experience the thrill of racing. With our low investment pathways into karting, we're paving the way for the next generation of racers. Whether you're a seasoned racer seeking camaraderie or a beginner eager to learn, Pro Karts Race Centre is your home. Join our vibrant community, feel the passion and share the rush of victory with friends who share your passion. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Pro Karts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. It's absolutely flown as per usual, and there's so much content. The fact-checking Mr. Lee Harrison is with me in the studio as well, and we're now going to show you the Las Vegas Grand Prix highlights.
Our Saturday night fight is 5 lights away. And Formula One goes racing on the streets of Las Vegas with Charles Leclerc cutting across Max Verstappen, who is on the dirty side. The top two go off the road. Do they open the door for George Russell? Massive spin in the middle of the pack as well. Max Verstappen takes the lead in the opening 200 metres of the Grand Prix, but he was deep into the first turn as he did so. Cars absolutely everywhere. Russell is in third, Gasly is in fourth, Kevin Magnussen has improved a couple of positions as we have the yellow flag out in sector 1. Sainz is at the back. Bottas and Alonso were involved in that as well.
Decent enough getaway initially from Charles Leclerc, but he glances in the mirror, realises he has to go defensive, and he's at the mercy of the line that Max takes.
This needs to be addressed now. He wasn't in front at the apex and he pushed me wide, so he needs to give that position back.
He's just wrong place, wrong time. Does get tagged in the back as well.
So they're fighting for space, but no idea of grip levels at this stage, and that is why he needed the nose change.
Let's see what happens to Carlos. You're going through all that oil dry.
All right, he tags Lewis.
Yeah, he just went in too deep.
The stewards are looking at lap 1, turn 1. It's under investigation as a result. And who's gone off the road in the background there?
Lando Norris, I think. It's the McLaren.
And Lando Norris goes off the road at turn 12. And that is a strange one. Now, let's see if Hamilton can go around the outside. It would be a great move if he manages it. And he does so, up to 11th place. Those soft tyres not working on the AlphaTauri. Max Verstappen is given the 5-second penalty for forcing another driver off the track. Sergio Perez, who loves a street circuit. 5 of his 6 Grand Prix victories have come at temporary facilities. That is opportunistic. That is brilliant from Esteban Ocon, who hard charges his way by.
As the racing continues down the strip into turn 14.
And it's getting very, very, very tight, no matter where you look on track. Oscar Piastri has got up to 7th position. And then we'll go driver's eye view. Piastri trying to fight by. This is Lewis Hamilton trying to charge past Logan Sargent as well, and he does so. Max Verstappen with his mirrors full. 1.2 miles, flat to the floor, in the wheel tracks. He's been called to the pits. Charles Leclerc doesn't know that. He's going to try and pull the move now. The Scarlet Ferrari to the inside. Charles Leclerc takes the lead of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It's game on at the front of the field like we haven't seen for so long in Formula One. And the crowd adoring that moment. Diving down the inside of the Australian driver. Piastri trying to hang on to it. That enough to puncture the tyre. Sparks out the back of Piastri's car.
That does sound like Hamilton. Yeah,
he's lifting.
He is really in a bad way here with this puncture.
Perez on that hard tyre, attacking now with DRS. And Perez taking the position away then.
Oh, is he going to try it on the inside here? Into turn 12.
Oh, it's going to be contact, and it is contact. Max Verstappen into the side of George Russell. He was committed, and in turn 12, the two of them come together. And so that is a massive benefit for the man who's put one of his best stints together of the entire season. And Sergio Perez gets a 2.4 second stop and is suddenly a contender.
Yeah, absolutely. He almost took his front jack man with him. He was so electric away from that pit stop.
Penalty for Russell for causing a collision is the verdict of the stewards. And we're back to racing speeds around Formula One's newest venue that is providing so much by way of entertainment. And Pierre Gasly worried Sergio Perez into a defensive shape. That's Fernando Alonso to the inside of Logan Sargent, and he's making 11th place with that move. But the rear of the car very nearly getting away from him when he applied the power. Another move around the outside. We've got the Haas trying to go past Daniel Ricciardo, and that is a sweet pass once again for Nico Hülkenberg. Late on the brakes, and later still for Oscar Piastri, who makes the corner, who makes the place, and takes third.
DRS is open again.
This is the best run so far for Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez to the apex first. Sergio Perez to the lead of the Grand Prix. Having started in 11th, he had the run, he had the DRS, and the fans in the grandstand love another pass because we've got a third race leader tonight. These two are side by side, but not for much longer. The two teammates battling it out, and Esteban Ocon deep into turn one. Gasly sweeps on by. Great racing between these two. Nervy moments on the pit wall for Alpine. These two have history this season back in Australia where they collided after a great run.
Okay, Esteban, we want to hold position for the moment. Please hold position for the moment.
Esteban Ocon going all in Vegas and taking 5th place.
So he is pushing hard on those tyres, and Charles Leclerc
going to the inside. I was going to say if he's going to take a risk, there's a chance. I think Perez might have been caught by surprise. Another change of lead in Las Vegas. Are we about to resume the battle between Leclerc and Verstappen? The 3 race leaders in your picture at the moment, but is it a change of position between the 2 Red Bulls as we go over the bumps? And it's Max Verstappen who takes 2nd place in the race. There's a real opportunity now for Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc knows it. Driving on the mirrors now, checking the left one, checking the right one, trying to keep the world champion behind. We go down the strip. We're going to get another change of lead. Max Verstappen takes the place back, but look at how brave on the brakes Charles was, but he couldn't close the door. Verstappen takes the lead back once again. This race completely changed by the full safety car. There's a big opportunity now for George Russell, who appears in your picture ahead of the Williams. Nothing Alex Albon could do, and that is a good pass as we move our way through there. Was very nearly another one. Leclerc would desperately love to make that pass. Can he sit there for the remaining laps? And that's a wide moment for the Williams driver, and disappointment for Alex Albon, who sees first Russell, then Sainz, then Alonso overtake him, and he drops out of the points. We're understandably focusing on the battle for 2nd place at the moment, but Gasly has George Russell right behind him. Off the road goes Charles Leclerc at turn 12.
He's been brave on the brakes, but on this occasion, just a bit wide on turn-in. Wheel-to-wheel action here.
This is so quick through 17. That is unbelievably brave. We've been waiting to see 2 drivers go wheel-to-wheel through there. This is the last real corner on the racetrack. It's flat to the floor by the time that you get out of 14, 15 and 16. Charles Leclerc's going for it to the inside. Has he got the car slowed down? What a move, Charles Leclerc. Absolutely brilliant. At the last real chance that he had to make the pass. Checo tries to fight back. What a performance from the top 3. Max Verstappen puts his name up in lights once again, and it's very close to the line. But it's Charles Leclerc who takes 2nd place with a bold and brilliant move at the last real opportunity on the last lap. It's 18 Grand Prix victories for the season for Max Verstappen, who wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It's one of those days where I'm being told to wrap up, and I just don't want to. A delirious Grand Prix of thrilling excitement. We'll see you for the season finale when Formula One returns.
And there you have it, the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And I think, probably, as you said earlier, one of the races of the season. 2nd to Singapore. 2nd to Singapore. Not because I love the track, because
of the result.
Because of the result.
Because you bleed Ferrari.
I do bleed red.
I disagree. I think that was the race of the year so far. With all those changes for the lead and 3 cars in contention still at the end of the race, and a stunning drive from Oscar. I don't think the race could have had much more.
Yeah,
a virtual safety car and a safety car within the first 5 laps. For all the trouble getting the race going in the first few days, they put on a corker.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any word of Lando Norris? Because I know he was taken to hospital after medical checks.
No further words since, but yeah,
it was a hard hit.
Yeah, it was pretty massive.
Yeah. Not quite Lee. Well, I'd say yours would be ranked 2nd in terms of of the
I'm still sporting some bruising.
You seriously look like you've come out of a brawl.
Yeah. That's life.
Yeah, God. What's happening in your household? I don't know. We're at the go-kart track. Chain whips and everything.
Yep.
Mr. Verstappen. Okay, you've been race steward, you've been a DSO. How on earth does it take nearly 8 laps to decide a 5-second penalty for something? I mean, 5 seconds is it wasn't even worth him getting it. And I wonder his reaction was, send my regards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not harsh enough, in my opinion anyway. I don't give it 2 hoots who it was, whether it was Leclerc or not. 5 seconds for something like that at the start of the race, regardless, is just ridiculous, and it only just adds to the stigma that he carries because he does this crap all the time. He does it all the time. Come on, Mr. Meat Diet. Let us have it. Come on. Get that testosterone going again.
I feel like it set a precedent for the Vegas Grand Prix in the future that is the only penalty that will come from being aggressive into the first corner. I think I'd like to read the official document for the penalty just before I throw any people under the bus. But I think there was some leniency taken given the fact that it was the first time they'd all ever gone into that corner. There was no there was no support categories for any of them to learn anything of. They were racing and the track was 6 degrees versus normally racing on a track that's 50 degrees. And so you've seen how bad it was when they got in there. I don't think there was any malice in the attempt. It was just a byproduct of going in there. And even Charles was running wide himself anyway. Yeah. So I think when all of those factors were taken into consideration, then 5 seconds is what they came up with. Did it have any ultimate effect on the end of the race? Not really, but I think that was more in Ferrari's own hands than the stewards' hands. So yeah, I think if Charles had to take more of an evasive action to miss Max, then there might have been a bit more of a penalty brewing, but they were all going in there skating on ice, and I think that sort of helped Max get off a little bit lighter. That's the way I would have looked at it, and that's what I would have adjudicated it like.
Having said that, though, I mean, given the nature of that first corner, and when you've got Alonso spinning on it by himself, Carlos Sainz spinning by himself, there's probably 3 or 4 other drivers that had just pirouetted.
Half the field didn't make the corner. Half the field were way wide of the apex. So I would say actually 3/4 of the field were away from the apex, and so barely anyone made the corner. It was just that incident in particular was for the lead.
But Charles's drive, and we talked about it off air as well with Ferrari's strategy. I can't be critical of them. I mean, you can look back on hindsight and say they should have pitted the second time. I'm just convinced that the fact that they were too afraid to sacrifice further track position with the risk of something happening later on, and because their tyre deg was so much better than Red Bull's, especially across that first stint. 4-lap old hard tyres, I think they probably thought, you know what, it's worth the gamble. 4 laps around here is neither here nor there. And you don't really know what the life of the hard tyre was going to be because the track was evolving so much. So I can't be critical of him. But then when he's pulling off passing maneuvers like what he was in the last sort of 2 or 3 laps of the race, I think it's neither here nor there. I mean, you can be really critical of it when you look at the evidence of Verstappen. But, I mean, I think the aerodynamics of the Red Bull's that good. Even if he lost the front wing cam plate, it wouldn't make that much of a difference anyway.
Yeah, no, but I think if Charles wasn't at that 5-6 lap tyre degradation deficit to Verstappen, he probably would have had more of a fight for Verstappen as well. So, yeah, it's hard to say because it's all on assumptions and there's lots of money being paid on that pit wall to people that are apparently smarter than us to make those decisions.
We're just pundits at the end of the day. Mate, we're just about out of time.
We're tapped out.
We are tapped out. You need to seriously wrap yourself up in some bandages and some cotton wool this week, I think.
Nah.
We need you fresh and vibrant for the Adelaide 500.
Nah, should be sweet.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man. I reckon it's going to be great fun. We'll,
100%.
Many stories to tell. I might do an interview with you as we walk into the circuit. Lee's predictions.
Sounds good.
Right, but we hope you enjoyed the show of Negative Camber. We will be back in a fortnight's time. Jump onto our Facebook page, our website, and send us an email.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion, embrace the Negative Camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.